Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zahab. We are buzzing as always. Folks, summer is almost over. It went by so quick, and it's good for crypto, bad for everything else, as we love summer. But once we get out of August, we always seem to rip and shit sort of pops off. So pretty pumped for that. But today we have Jag Singh on the show. Been waiting to have him on for a hot minute. We finally got him on. He's the CEO and co-founder of re.al, an L2 built to facilitate deep on-chain liquidity for tokenized RWAs, also known as real-world assets, one of the trendiest parts of crypto at the moment. re.al seeks to redefine how RWAs are integrated into DeFi using yield-generating real-world assets as novel building blocks and existing DeFi primitives. A really cool and unique sort of flip on the traditional RWA market and sort of value prop. Super pumped to have you on. Jag, welcome to the show, my friend. Pumped to have you on. How you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Pumped to have you on. I always love, again, I always sort of sewer the listeners and not the viewers, because you and I can obviously see each other, but I think you crack sort of top 10, top 15 best background on the show again. It's gotta be nice to sort of dial in with being in like some peaceful serenity place.
Yeah, I always like to work with some sort of nature around me for sure. It helps focus.
100%. It definitely does. Let's jump right into it here. Before we get into you and your past, I want to talk about RWAs. We've had some incredible guests on the show who specialize in RWA, who have RWA companies. Again, for the listeners at home, RWA, real world assets. One of the, I think, better acronyms in the crypto space. Pretty good, clean, and easy to understand. I'd love if you could start here, Jag, by giving us your thesis on RWAs and why the tokenization of real-world assets has such potential, not just for crypto, but for sort of the whole economy as one.
Sure. I think, it's been discussed for almost a decade now, the benefits of why RWAs make a lot of sense on chain. Instant transferability, proof of ownership, deep liquidity, all of these sorts of things. The way that I prefer to explain it, those with a kind of more relevant use case that makes it easier to understand. So if you think about going to buy a property in the real world and getting it tenanted and collecting the rent, that process might take, a month or two or three, even by the time you got through lawyers, all that process. You could do that on chain on our website right now and on Real, in about 15 seconds. You can buy a tokenized property. It's already tenanted. The rent comes into your wallet the very next day in USDC.
Wow.
And next week, you have to borrow against it in 15 seconds and lever yourself up. Just that process, the kind of user experience is 10x better, right? It's just so much better for users that it seems inevitable. It's just that we're very early in the journey.
So can you just walk me through the whole thing as if I'm a Web 2 with zero Web3 lingo, none of that, the whole 9 yards, like, if one of your family members or close friends who has zero crypto knowledge wants to be like, yo, Jag, so why would I do this? Like, without sort of giving the classic, it's more interoperable, it's more efficient, deep liquidity, blah, blah, blah. How would you explain it to them in like Web 2 layman terms?
I would just explain it to them that it's a lot easier for you. You've taken out the lawyers, the paperwork, the manual work of you going to find the property. The rent is more regular. It's paid daily too. When you want to sell it, you could sell it within a few clicks. There's buyers. It's a lot faster to sell it. The process is a lot more efficient. All of the headaches taken away from you. All of the costs are kind of abstracted away from you, but very similar. And yeah, it's a much more seamless experience. It's basically going to be a lot more stress-free as a landlord.
And you guys at re.al, along with your token, I mean, you guys got the best token. You literally snagged RWA token. But how does one who isn't involved in crypto get involved? Like, is it an extraneous process getting them set up and having them, getting them the ability to accept USDC, Circle as payment? Like, walk me through that whole process.
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, we, through a separate entity, Tangible, we purchase all the properties. We make sure that they're tenanted. We collect the fiat. We on-ramp the fiat into USDC and then pay it up to a smart contract. But in the future, for sure, that will become a lot more decentralized. There will be kind of onboarding ramps and the ability for a lot more people to kind of plug into the chain and do that themselves. It's just a matter of kind of quality control of assets and making sure, in particular around yield. We focus a lot on making sure that the yields are very, very high on these single-family residential properties, because that's ultimately what our user base is looking for. And I think once we've built a solid pipeline and really prove the use case, then we can start to open it up a lot wider and let other people kind of tokenize their stuff and plug into the ecosystem.
Gotcha. So right now, it's not actually the homeowners themselves. Like you guys are buying the homes and then selling them out. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Gotcha. And when shit really pops off, I assume that's when the platform is locked and loaded for, average Joe and Josephine homeowners to come on, tokenize their home, and you guys deal with all the bullshit, all the extraneous and nuanced BS that comes along with being a homeowner and landlord and landowner, and you just make it nice and easy for them. They come along, they collect their yield, and boom, that's it.
Exactly. And I guess another use case that we're very excited about is on-chain loans against your property. So if you think about the way kind of RWA works in a lot of these Maker and all of these kind of lending vaults, you don't actually pay out of your pocket interest every month in the same way that you would with a mortgage. It kind of just eats into your collateral. So if you think about real estate on an average year, obviously this really hasn't been an average year for the last year or two, but typically, say, increases 5% a year. And that's, typical interest rates on chain. So what you kind of end up with is a payment-free mortgage, payment-free loan, which I think is a very appealing product if you can package it correctly and get the regulatory stuff sorted.
Interesting. And are people keen for this, Jag? Like, do people want this? Is the current sort of home, renting out your home, being a landlord situation, is it too much of a burden? And this is something that people are, horny for lack of better words?
I'm not sure on the landlord side. I'm really not sure. That's an unanswered question. I would say on the crypto native side, there's demand for real world assets that basically allow people to diversify, hedge their gain, at the top of the cycle, for example, that's kind of how we got going. Is at the top of the last cycle, we'd made it, we've done well in the cycle, we're looking to de-risk, and there really wasn't a lot of options for us, and that's when we started building. So I think there's definitely demand amongst pretty much all our users, DeFi natives, crypto natives, people just looking for yield, but different sources, more sustainable, I guess, based in the real world, hedged, diversified, all that sort of stuff, not so correlated.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Let's go back to the whole thesis as a whole for a second. And I'd love if we could sort of divulge away just from home ownership. But RWA thesis as a whole, like I said, incredible guests on the pod so far. Everyone's had a relatively similar thesis in regards to tokenizing RWAs, real world assets, most likely physical things, IRL, like homes or cars or sports cards, memorabilia, watches, jewelry, whatever the case may be. It appears that long-term in the future, once we sort of get rid of some of the kinks in the armor, that this will be a more efficient way to just have an asset online, transfer of ownership, potential for yield, interoperability, the whole 9 yards. Is there anything else? Do you have any unique points to add to that thesis? Because again, it seems like there's sort of a singular vision, but like no one really has the path to get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, 100%. I think we will find kind of new novel use cases and things that weren't previously possible because of the composability of DeFi, if that makes sense. Like the payment-free loan that I kind of just described, that really doesn't exist right now. So I don't know the exact figure, but I know it's very large, the average American's percentage of income that they spend on their rental or their primary dwelling, whether it's a mortgage or whatever. If you could kind of free up that income, say 50, 60%, because they're in this payment-free mortgage,
it's that's massive.
It's game changing. So I think it's things, there's unlocks that we don't yet understand, most likely, that are going to come from the composability of DeFi.
Very interesting. And on the yields as a whole, because this is something that interests me a huge amount. How do you guys set the yield? Because I feel like it's not like, I could be wrong here, but it's not like a traditional DeFi algo where it takes the inputs and the outputs and, how long things are staked for or can't be, touched for. And it's just all one algo and it spits out the sort of moving, variable yield. But with this, it's a hell of a lot different. I feel like there's a lot of different variables that go into it. How do you guys calculate, TVL? How do you guys calculate yields in RWA?
Yeah, so for yields on a property basis, they're on a per property basis. So it's literally just the cost of the property and then the rental yield that's coming in minus maintenance costs on a say monthly basis. And then that's paid out the chain. And then in a basket, which is basically just a collection of NFTs. It's just the average of all the properties that are in that basket.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's really just like a traditional, almost ETF per se, like the traditional, or sorry, the accrued value of everything within that basket, and then you guys set that yield and pass that along to the end user.
Yeah, correct.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Other companies in the space right now, RWA as a whole, what other areas really get you going? Obviously, you guys are going full head of steam. Train is moving at 1 million miles a minute into the real world asset space, more particular, more specific rather, homes and properties, rent, ownership, blah, blah, blah. What other areas really get you going? I know you guys aren't dabbling in those areas, but if you had to build another, re.al, where would you be right now?
Yeah, I mean, Real is an L2 specifically for real world assets. So we are obviously courting and talking to all different sorts of tokenization protocols. I'm excited about tokenized stocks for sure. I think, 24/7 markets, on-chain, the ability for DeFi natives to be able to buy this stuff, borrow against this stuff, leverage this stuff. I think that there's just a lot of appetite, a lot of capital on chain. And people, once you send USDC across the world, and it gets there in a few clicks, it's very to go back once you've felt that product market fit.
Most people haven't though. There's 2, 3, 4, 5% of the world is sent a Tether or Circle transaction. It's pretty wild.
For sure. But, once you have that aha moment and you can't go back, that's what's happening. You've got all these DeFi natives sitting on all this capital net worth on chain. They don't want to go back to the real world. They don't want to go open a brokerage account and, they want all this stuff on chain. So I think in the short term, that's what I'm most excited about, building for that audience that's already here right now and just wants more and more assets, basically, so that their entire net worth, everything will just sit on chain. I think that's the short term.
And what about, can you give me some more areas besides stocks? I love the stocks thing. Wouldn't that be a little difficult? Not a little. Wouldn't that be a lot difficult with a market that is only open for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, minus holidays, to then go 24/7? Like, how would the traditional finance system integrate, on-chain 247 degeneracy? Like, you see the shit that goes on in traditional finance. Like every week there's a new company. Oh, trading halted. It's like, you can't halt trading at 2 a.m. Whereas with crypto, like shit hits the fan, chart's either going hella green or hella red. A big candle's going to be thrown up on the board.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is going to be a challenge. At the moment, the way that it works is basically the tokens just represent stocks, and they're 1-for-1 redeemable. So there is an arbitrage opportunity. They do trade very tightly. The market moves after hours in the stock market as well. It's going to be that sort of thing. And then the gap kind of closes in the morning, I think.
Gotcha. What other areas? I mean, a lot of people have spoke about watches, sports memorabilia. I think homes is a great place to start, just because, again, like, it's one of the sort of integral parts of life that's been drilled and integrated into our brains from a young age. Like, I mean, I live in Canada. It's the same as in North America. I'm pretty sure it's relatively similar in Europe, at least 3 sort of continents and countries that I can speak upon. They're like, get a home. So this makes sense. But what other areas really get you going? Where do you see a lot of appetite?
We're excited about watches. So we originally began with wine and watches, right? There just wasn't. This was now 3 years ago, I believe. We spent so much time going to find partnerships. We got like the largest wine retailer in Europe, fine wine retailer. We got storage facilities, all this stuff. And there was just no appetite. I think we sold 2 cases of wine in a year. Wow. Fine wine. It was like maybe they were 10K each or something. Expensive wine, but there was just no appetite. And same with watches. People want to wear them. They don't want to just keep them on chain and all this stuff. So we're actively seeking a team right now to come and build something like this on chain. I think people would prefer to speculate on watch prices. So I'd like to bet on, say, Rolex Datejust or AP Royal. I want to be able to speculate on that price, maybe in line with bull markets, in line with liquidity injections. I think, this is going to go up. I hear some news that AP are going to double their demand, double their supply next year. I think there's these sorts of things. I think that's probably more fitting than tokenizing them directly and bolting them. I think that will have more usage in the short term. Where we do see demand around tokenizing things like that is more from high net worths and family offices around art and different things like that. They just basically want to take an on-chain loan against this thing, get the USDC, go farm that USDC. That makes a lot of sense to people. So I think, there's definitely some appetite there.
Gotcha. I love it. Jag, you're on fire here, my friend, but we got to take a quick break for a huge shout out to our sponsor of the show, Prime XBT. And when we get back, we're going to keep diving into re.al. Of course, everything RWA related, some current market discussions, and some season 2 reward goals in regards to re.al. A huge shout out to Prime XBT, longtime friends of cryptonews.com and longtime sponsors of the Crypto News Pod. We love Prime XBT as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News Pod. Use the promo code CryptoNews50, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Now back to the show with Jag. Let's jump right back into re.al here. A couple things I want to talk about. The rewards program. Very interesting. I think whenever you got like rewards programs and tokens, things can get a little wishy-washy, a little complex, but you guys seem to have nailed this. You got to give me the whole spiel on this. How'd you set this up? Was this always the goal from day one? Talk about the RWA, and again, this is RWA token, the RWA token airdrop. Give me the whole laydown on what's going on right now.
Yeah, sure. So no, it wasn't. We were originally a tokenization protocol called Tangible. We were building on Polygon. And then at one stage, we were, I think, 18% of Polygon's TVL. And then we started to think, maybe we belong in our own isolated ecosystem, and maybe actually RWAs do need their own chain, because as regulations progress, you can kind of upgrade the infrastructure so that everyone, all RWA protocols are now compliant at the same time. You can share KYC. There's a lot of reasons why RWAs probably need their own kind of environment. So we made that move. And then as part of that process, we launched the chain, and then the governance token for the chain, and then the points program. So we're pretty heavy DeFi native kind of yield farmers ourselves. It's a lot of what we do with our own capital and in our spare time. So we participated in a bunch of points programs over the last couple of years. And we saw the points fatigue, obviously, on crypto Twitter and amongst DeFi natives. Speculation around what's it going to be worth, what am I going to get, is the team going to rug me, change the details of how the airdrop works and double the amount of points to token ratio, all this stuff. So we decided, we want to be super transparent about how it works. The token's already live, so you've got a price, how many, the points to token ratio, which activities give you a higher multiplier. It's all clearly listed on the site, because we know what's important to us to incentivize to make the chain grow. So we just tell users, do this, earn more. It's very simple.
Gotcha.
And then I guess the other big differentiator is the token accrues all the fees from the L2. So 100% of sequencer fees are paid back to governance token holders in ETH. And a bunch of the other protocols as well share 50% of their revenue back to the governance token in ETH. So the kind of goal is, to really make it a value accruing token, and all of the ecosystem kind of feeds back to, I guess, one super token is the thesis.
Gotcha. And rewards and points programs are something that really interests me. How do you guys sort of jig and jag to define what outcomes and what tasks, if you will, they're not so much tasks, but they sort of are things to do per se. How do you sort of quantify and grade which things to do are more important than other things to do? Like you see a lot of obviously staking, you see a lot of obviously using the token, but then there's like, hey, post on Twitter, build content, XYZ. Like, how do you guys prioritize what moves the needle, what doesn't, and maybe what's like a middle needle mover kind of thing? Yeah,
sure. So we decided to focus really around TVL and liquidity, because we've spoken to, maybe hundreds at this point of tokenization protocols, head of tokenization or RWAs at every chain. And what we keep hearing again and again is it's very hard to build demand for this stuff on chain and amongst crypto natives. There's obviously infinite supply of this stuff in the real world. Everything could potentially be tokenized. But how do you make this stuff interesting for crypto natives? And the number one kind of starting point for that is definitely liquidity. So we really focused all our points program around building liquidity and building TVL on chain. And then we tweak it kind of week to week. Data scientists, quant, and different team members will look at the data, look at what wallets are doing, look at where there's maybe constraints. There's not enough liquidity here. We saw someone, they maybe wanted to buy more and they couldn't. So then we'll tweak things that, okay, we need more liquidity here, we need this, and then we'll look at it again. And we constantly reassessing.
Gotcha. Totally makes sense. Season 2 rewards. That's the new season that's coming out, yeah?
It is, yeah.
September 1st. And anything new or different from season 1?
Yes. Yeah, so kind of season 1 was all focused around TVL, getting the chain up and running. Season 2 is a lot more focused now around builders, getting other people coming into the ecosystem, building core pieces of DeFi infrastructure, other tokenization protocols. So whatever very similar to, I think, Blast Gold, builders that basically have a lot of interactions with their contracts. It's points are calculated based on ETH spent using your contract. So people that are spending ETH, the users, doing transactions, they get rewarded, but then also 50% of those rewards go to the people that develop the contract deployer, the different contracts.
Gotcha. So very similar to Blast. Did you guys like take any of that from Blast? I mean, when Blast first sort of made the announcement, I want to say it was like Feb or March, and I think the unlock was end of May, early June. No, I think it was June, the unlock. But everyone was super bullish on that, and it sort of turned into a whole shit show. Like, I personally know a couple people who started new protocols, DeFi, meme coins, you name it, on Blast, and every single one of them is left, either for Solana, Arb, you name it, but they've all fucked off, every single one.
Yeah, I think there was definitely it was very fumbled, in my opinion. They had so much attention. They had everything going for them, great backing, and it was perfect tee up. I think they messed with the points too often and diluted people, and then that rubs large farmers up the wrong way, and it drives a kind of death spiral, if you will. And builders as well. Imagine you spent months building something and you think ultimately this is going to end in X ownership of the network, and now you just get crazy diluted and it's not worth what it. And then it's very hard to come back from that kind of negative feedback loop. In the same way it can go the other direction if you get it right. But yeah, these things are very sensitive.
Yeah, it's absolute bananas. Crazy stuff, man. Arb, was Arb, and again, the stat you told me, my apologies, I forget. You said, I think 25 or 20% of all of Polygon's TVL. That is just insane.
18, yeah.
I got some beef with Polygon as well. Not beef, but just as I still have a bag, but had a larger bag of Polygon. And I'm just like, bro, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys had such a stranglehold, such a good narrative, and I feel like they just pissed it away. I'd love to have Sandeep on the pod, not to go at him per se, but just to be like, man, come on, like you had loyal Polygon guys like me. I used to wear the Matic hat around, like, not even to pump my bags, just because I was like, this is a good chain, it's quick, it's interoperable, it's partnering with ETH, blah blah blah, and they've done pardon my French, but they've done fuck all. Like, what the hell have they done? Anyways, you can talk about that and talk about the move over to Arb if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So I guess first touching on Polygon, I'm kind of 50-50. Sandeep obviously is a great builder and the team were great. That's 100%. Kind of why they got where they were. So there's a part of me that thinks, okay, they've sold a bunch of their tokens and they're probably not coming back. They're going to be one of those ghost chains, and it's just, last cycle coin, definitely don't buy it. Then there's a part of me that thinks, okay, they've made a new ticker. They're going to have a new chart. They're going to come back with a massive bang. They're just biding their time. They're waiting for the right moment in the cycle, and they're going to, they're going to go all out Sandeep style BD, and they're going to have a comeback. I don't have any inside info which direction they're headed. Yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on that. Why we left Polygon ultimately was we were going to use the Polygon stack, the Polygon ZK EVM, and build with, a version of that, because they also have a similar thing to OP and Arb, for people to spin up their own L2s. We just ran into a bunch of technical difficulties. The ZK EVM tech just wasn't ready. We deployed a testnet and everything. It's just transactions kept failing. And we spoke to their kind of core engineering team, and they just said, realistically, it's not going to be ready for a while. So we had to switch, and then it was really just a decision between Optimism and Arbitrum. Our team was super supportive in terms of BD. The stack was great. So we ultimately kind of went with them.
Easy choice to go to Arb. Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, Arb's awesome. Going back to Polygon for a second here. One of the narratives that really got me going as well is how integrated Matic and Polygon was, and maybe still is, with India. And India still has like the most room for growth. You have over 1 billion people, and like, I think the crazy stat 10 years ago, it was like 5% of the population had internet. Like, friggin' 10 years ago, and now it's like 95 or something. Like, that's a lot of friggin' people getting on the internet, especially for a country where, is crypto going to really move the needle in the UK where you are, or in Canada where I am, or the States? No, not really. I have friends in Argentina. Crypto is used in every single day of their lives. Like, they that's what moves the needle for them. In India, it's probably it could very well be similar. And again, Argentina has what, 40 million people? India has 1.1 billion. Like, that's a lot of people to onboard to the space. And that was part of the narrative that I was like, man, this could work. And c'est la vie, here we are today with a whole lot of nothing. So, and more incredible teams like you guys jumping ship and leaving Polygon and going to Arb or going to some other L2. So it's sort of wild how things work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's tough to say which way it's going to go, but it just kind of happens. You know, you see these ghost chains, and the reason is because I guess the teams feel like they can never make all-time highs again, and they sold a bunch of. They just lose that incentive, and then
bingo.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned about life is momentum is everything. Whether it's sports, whether it's girls, when you're on, you're on, when you're off, whether it's business, crypto, more so than anything, the momentum train is paramount to success. When you have momentum, when you fit a certain narrative, when you're front and center, people love you and you can fall away so quickly. Momentum in crypto, I think, is one of the most underrated aspects of the space. I'd love to hear your 2 cents on that. Yeah,
for sure. And it's very reflexive, right? Like, a lot of people talk about what makes a great community or what makes a cult. In my opinion, it's one thing: price go up. When people get rich, they become a cult, and it builds the most bullish community. No, there's nothing you can do that will ever compete with that. If you look at like Ethereum's community, Solana's community, it's even Polygon's community. The reason Polygon's community was so bullish and so like cultish,
they made people rich.
Yeah, the Binance IEO price was crazy, right? Everyone got in, and that's it. That's the number one name of the game. People are here to make money, and if you make them money, they'll be loyal.
It's so freaking simple. Why has everyone been shitting on ETH recently? What has ETH done over the last little bit? Bitcoin hit new ATH? Not really, but yes, but no kind of thing in the low 70s. But what has ETH done? Nothing. So why is everyone shitting on ETH? Look at Sol. Sol ripped all the way up. Did it hit ATH? No, but it went from $8 to $200 in a year. So it's like, it's all it is. That's one thing, Jag, that we really got to change. Like you think that will ever change, or you think that's just like we've all been so privy to the get rich quick thing that it's just part of our DNA right now? Like, you think that's going to change, or is this just how it's going to be for the foreseeable future?
I think with L1s, L2s, like core infra, probably not, right? It's just human nature. The product really isn't that differentiated from others. They're all got the experiences and
that's true.
But then when it comes to things like, very user-centric apps, where the app and the experience is just so amazing that you really can't see yourself going elsewhere, then I think it makes a difference there. People aren't going to necessarily, they will still be super bullish on the thing and probably still buy the token, but even if they're not necessarily getting that rich.
100%. But the only apps that I think are so beautiful in crypto right now, most of the time, are the CEXs, the centralized exchanges. And yes, a lot of them have their own token for sure. But at the same time, like, that is the instrument or vehicle you are using to make you money. And that's why you have such an affinity to that as well. Yes, it is, CEXs are the most beautiful products in crypto at the moment for obvious reasons. But at the same time, that's your vehicle. You're getting in that car to take you to the bank, to get to the money printer. So it's like, when are we going to find that crypto app that maybe isn't fully financial based and doesn't have a coin on? But then again, is there even a point of making that Web3? So, it's just like, when I think about this, I'm like, man, I think we're stuck in this boat forever.
Probably, it needs to be a magical experience. It needs to drive crazy emotion in you when you use it.
Yes.
That's all. And then it doesn't need to be so financialized, because that emotion at the moment is just, I'm getting rich. It's still the same thing. It just needs to be a different emotion. And then it will work.
It's like my analogy that I always give to my Web2 folks is like Facebook. I'm a 95. I'm 29 years old, born in 95. I remember starting to use Facebook in grade 7. And it was crazy. Like, that's when you're 12, 13-year-old boy, you're finally like, oh, girls are actually like not gross. They're actually like pretty cute. And, oh, it's cool to be popular, blah, blah, blah. And everyone got on Facebook within like a 2-year, span. A couple of people were first in, then everyone was in, and then you had the stragglers. But that was like the first sort of app where everyone really felt FOMO. You know, and right now, the only FOMO in crypto is shit. Did I get this rewards program? Did I get this points drop? Did I hit the next shit coin? Did I do this? Did I hit my leverage on coin XYZ? But when we finally have that first consumer facing app that just makes you feel a kind of way, like I think that's it. You know, similar after Facebook, then it was Instagram. It's like you had to be there. For the young kids, 100%. You know, you had to be on Snapchat. Now it's like you have to be watching those streamers. You get that FOMO. We don't have that, like you have to unless it's making money. And I'd love for someone to create that app that has some type of Web3 tech that shit, you got to get this or else you're going to be missing out.
I agree. I think the problem comes down to there's no need to, right? As a builder, you can basically make pretty shitty UX and pretty shitty product design in crypto right now and get the incentives correct and make a bunch of money. And even make your users a bunch of money. Yeah. So as that gets more competitive, so Facebook, for example, Zach and Jamal and all of that early kind of product team and growth team were obsessed with getting users to the aha moment. And they measured the aha moment a lot. And they realized the aha moment was getting users to 7 friends within 7 days. And then you understood the value of the network. They were obsessed with it, measuring every single thing. And that's the way it is in social because it's hyper competitive.
Bingo.
You just don't see crypto teams measuring things to that degree, discussing product day and night, making the experience beautiful. You know, all of these, I would say the Pump.Fun team is probably one team that's slightly more that direction where they really focus a lot on user experience and getting people to aha moment. Like if you look at their UI, everything's all in one screen. Everything's so condensed. They try to get you to think
a 3-year-old could use Pump.Fun.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
It's so true.
I think, as you get more competitive, then users, then we'll get those things. I think you just need to get rid of the easy money maybe. And then.
But that's your point though. And this is where you nailed it on the head. You just said, we need to get to that aha moment, but there is no aha moment because we can continue to build dog shit UI, dog shit UX. But if you give me the worst UI and the worst UX ever, which is 95% of crypto, but I can print, sign me up, you know, send the Cal invite. Like, where are we at? You know what I mean? So with, you know, I can't see us creating, I mean, the world runs on fear and greed. What are we doing right now? It's all greed. You know, it's 99% greed. What were the best Web 2 apps? That was all fear of missing out. That's all it is. It's fear and greed, yin and yang. It's all polarization. What makes the world go around? That's all it is.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a ton of sense.
Pretty wild to see. Jag, you've been awesome here, my friend. A couple more questions and we will wrap up. Obviously, season 2 popping off September 1st. Your episode is going to air right around that date. Anything else coming out for re.al next couple days, weeks, months that you'd love to drop before we let you go here?
No, I don't think so. I think season 2 and then a bunch of new protocols launching on the chain. So lending, leverage yield farming and different assets being tokenized on the chain. I think that's kind of the next step for us now that the chain's up and running, the core infra is there. Gotcha. The season 2 push will be more assets, more things that you can do with them.
Got you. And last thing here, the token. And for the listeners at home, one little fun fact about tokens. There can be 600 million tokens that literally have BTC or ETH or SOL. It just matters that you have the best one. How the hell did you guys snag RWA?
I think we just kind of made that decision early. You know, we want this to be our ticker. I think with the largest market cap, there's a few meme coins and different things now. But yeah, we just grabbed it early. Obviously, it's not like a stock ticker. Just one. So
many as you want.
Yeah.
But so you guys were just nice and early. That was it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's sick, man. That's such a good ticker. Because again, what are the normies going to do? $RWA, boom, straight to re.al. You know?
Yeah.
Crazy how it works. Good old TradFi folks battling for, you know, shitty old tickers. And we're just like, chuck it. You want to put 8 letters in your ticker? Throw it in. You got to love crypto, no rules. Jag, what an episode, my friend. Really appreciate you coming on here. Before you let us go, can you please let our listeners know where they can find you personally and, of course, re.al online and on socials?
Yeah, sure. You can find me at JagTNFT on Twitter. Re.al, you can find us at re.al and all our socials are on the site.
Love it. Jag, what an episode, my friend. Really appreciate you coming on and love what you guys do. Can't wait for the next one. Until then, wishing you guys all the best and we'll keep in touch, my friend.
All right, amazing. Thank you.
Folks, what an episode with Jag Singh. He was dropping the noise today. CEO of re.al. We discussed everything real world assets and also the thesis, on-chain home loans, calculating yields, current market discussion, rewards programs, value accrual to a community, you name it, we touched it. Huge shout out to Jag and the re.al team for making this happen. If you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did. Please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking to the team, love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. Eustace, you are the man as always. And back to the listeners, love you guys. Keep on growing those bags. keep on enjoying summer and keep on staying happy, wealthy, and healthy. Love you guys. See you on the next one. Ciao.